Jai Hind kids, let's have an introduction to the chapter number 2 in relation to consumer equilibrium. When I use the word consumer over here, be very much clear about it, saying that consumer. It describes about the behavior of a consumer, how he needs, what he requires. As per chapter 1, we have already studied that there is lots of scarcity whereas demand is very high. So I need to very much first consider the consumer. Who is the consumer? Consumer is an economic agent who uses goods and services for direct satisfaction of his or her wants. For an example, if I say over here a refrigerator. Refrigerators goes from manufacturer to wholesaler, wholesaler to retailer, and retailer to consumer. It starts from manufacturer, it goes to wholesaler, wholesaler to retailer, retailer to consumer. When I talk about the word consumer over here, you need to remember here consumer is going to use it for the self consumption. सेल्फ कंजम्पशन मीन्स वो खुद के घर में यूज़ करने वाला है. ही इज़ नॉट गोइंग टू ट्रांसफ़र हिज डिटेल्स फ्रॉम वन पर्सन टू अनदर, सेकेंड पर्सन टू थर्ड पर्सन टू फोर्थ पर्सन. ही इज़ गोइंग टू सेल्फ utilize it. Utilization will be self over here. Thus, moving ahead, when we talk about in a general, that is in your English dictionary or Oxford meaning, consumer includes only humans or individuals. Individual means who we are, or you can say all type of human peoples. But when I talk about the word economics, it includes individuals, households, factories, etc. Now, if you talk about the word factories, what do you think? Why factory is considered over here? So, kids, remember here, these factories are included because we have machineries. Machineries in the factories are used for self-consumption because the product is going to be produced within the factory. Then what is the use of the product is secondary over here. We are not going to think about the product, but we are going to see for what the machinery is being used over here. So if you think over here, machinery is used for certain self-production need. So factories are also included under the consumers. If we talk about consumer derives its utility from its income, because we directly say that income is equal to expenditure. Whenever you get an income, then you increase your demand for expenditure. As studied in the last chapter, the more will be the income, more will be the satisfaction. The greater your income goes on, satisfaction decision goes on increasing. He chooses his expenditure to maximize its utility from given price or goods and services. He thinks about the price. Can you think over here? The price of the goods and commodities. Why will he think about the price? Because he need to check out whether his pocket is affordable for it or not. Thus, to study this entire consumer, according to Alfred Marshall, one of the greatest European economists, have derived the concept called utility. In terms of English, utility means usefulness of a particular product. But when I talk about economics, utility basically refer to goods and services that leads to satisfaction. For an example, here if I say I am keeping a bottle of wine, do you have satisfaction from it? No, because it differs from human to human. Certain humans will find satisfaction in that, but certain persons will say no, it is hazardous for the health. It depends or differentiates from one person to another. Thus, when I define this concept called utility, it is satisfaction derived from the consumption of a commodity or want satisfying power of a commodity. A commodity has how much power to satisfy, because when I talk about the satisfaction over here, we need to think about alternative use or multiple use of the product. You need to very much clarify the details about alternative uses or multiple uses of the product. Then only we can decide that a particular commodity is useful or not. Moving ahead to the further concept of utility, Dr. Alfred Marshall, in competition to Hicks, describes a concept called measurement of utility. Utility refers satisfaction. Thus, in basic terms, satisfaction cannot be measured. Okay. Remember the example of chapatis. In front of you, I keep 5 chapatis and you are very much hungry. Within consumption of every one chapati, you can just express your words, or you can donate an exclamatory word for it. But can you express my 1/4 stomach is filled or 1/5 stomach is filled? It's not at all possible. So we just say it can be just expressed. But according to two big economists named as Marshall and Hicks, says that economics in terms saying utility can be measured. If I talking about Marshall called it as cardinal measurement. He called it as cardinal measurement. Okay, when I talk about the word cardinal measurement, utility can be measured cardinally. That means in numbers. Like, and eating a slice of apple, my satisfaction was 10. Eating a second apple, my satisfaction was 8. Eating my third apple, my satisfaction became 5. The term what I have used over here, 10, 8, 5, these numbers according to him are called as utils. Similarly, when I move ahead to Hicks says utility can be measured ordinally. That means it can be ranked. Oh my god, high, medium, low. You can easily describe. The first chapati gave me very high satisfaction. Second, medium. Third, okay. And last one is very low. Now I don't have any capacity to eat. Is it clear to all of them? Please let me know through the Google Classroom whether the concepts are clear or not. Moving on to the last concept, that is called concept of utility. When I talk about the word utility, there are two basic concepts in utility, which is called as total utility and marginal utility. First, let's look into total utility. What is total utility? Sum total of utility derived from the consumption of all units. Means when I consume all, suppose 5 units. So unit 1 plus unit 2 plus unit 3 plus unit 4 unit plus unit 5. Means in terms of formula, I will describe total utility is sum total of all marginal utilities derived from a commodity. Here TU, total utility, MU is sum of marginal utility. Moving ahead to the concept called marginal utility. What is marginal utility? The utility that we derive from the additional consumption. For an example, I ate 4 chapati, then I took one more, the 5th chapati. So I'm not thinking about the first 4 chapati. I would be thinking in mind of the 5th chapati what I have eaten. What type of utility did I derive from the 5th? See, I have given that total 10 apples, ate total 10 apples and ate one more extra. So we need to see the utility derived from that 11th apple. So how am I going to find out? TU of n unit is equal to MU of n unit is equal to TU of n unit minus TU of n minus 1. Kids, the example for the following, that is marginal utility and total utility, will be taught by me in the virtual classes. So please post your reviews whether you have understood the following topic or not. Thank you, students.